that the only thing you're using? Apparently, it's only gonna last 4 minutes. Is it recording? I think so. I hope so. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. My name is Autum. Appreciate everybody being here. Close your eyes and think back to when you were in high school. All right, do you remember those days? Hopefully it wasn't that long ago, but for some of us it might have been a really long time ago. Anyways, you think you knew it all, didn't you? Well, that's how we all thought. But were you prepared for the real world? What was really going to happen? What was really coming at you? Well, probably took calculus and trig and band and swimming or football or any other activity. Well, was that preparing you for the real world? What was coming at you? Maybe those are great skills to have, but were you ready to pay bills? Were you ready to own your own apartment or house? Have your own checking account? Well, those are some skills that we need to talk about. So why should you teach home economics? Well, that class was removed from high school curriculum in the 80s. Some classes are still taught, but some aren't. So, why should home economics be taught in school? Change slide. When people think of home ec, they think of 1950s, steady homemaker, or the 1920s, somebody sewing and learning how to cook. Well, this isn't always the case. Things have changed. So, next slide. Cooking, sewing, laundry are some of the skills that were taught in home ec. Back in the 80s, it changed. They started removing this from schools. The reason being is that they wanted parents to teach their children how to do these skills. Next slide. The reason that these skills aren't being taught to kids today is because the divorce rate has risen. Since the 80s until today, you can see that children are not being taught these skills because their parents are going through divorces, meaning that they're working for jobs. They're not home. Their kids all these skills that they need to learn. Next slide. So parents aren't home. They're not teaching their kids what they need to know. They're not cooking meals. So because of that, obesity is on the rise. They're not preparing healthy meals. Next slide. Obesity is on the rise because children aren't eating these healthy, well-balanced meals. They're eating fast food, pre-cooked meals. Next slide. So we'll talk about this. Your parents are giving you fast food. For $20, you can get a take-and-bake pizza or have it delivered to your house for $20. Now, the cost to go to Walmart and buy rice, turkey, some green tea, and peanut butter, it's going to cost you $18.66 compared to $20. So you're spending more money and you're eating worse food. Next slide. Sewing, that's another skill that needs to be taught to children and was taught to children. Sewing, you lose a button. What do you do with the shirt? You take it to Goodwill? No, you should fix it, save it, instead of running out and buying a new item. Children nowadays don't know how to fix those items, so they're running off and going and getting new stuff all of the time as they're repairing those items. Next slide. Balancing the checkbook. You have to pay bills. Okay. So, you look at your bank statement. It doesn't match what's in your bank account because you may have missed a few transactions. So, you don't know how to balance, and you're dealing with effective overdraft, which can be an average of $27, which is a lot of money if you calculate it up over the years, if you're not balancing your checkbook and you have a lot of withdrawals. So that is happening that way. Next slide. Changing a tire. The cost for AAA for a year is at least $66 to $130 for a membership. Then you're waiting on the side of the road for them to come and change that tire for you. So if we teach our children how to change tires, they're saving time and they're saving money. Next slide. So Home Ec is not just for women. It is for men. It is for every gender, creed, you name it. It is for everybody. The basic real-world skills that we need to teach our children. Instead of Googling something, they should know it. So, change a tire to sew a button, you name it. Next slide. So, what should be taught? We should make it modern day. We should make it so they learn how to cook. The average cost per meal to eat out, $13 per person. The average cost to cook at home, $4. What savings, right? What about laundry? If you take it to the laundromat, at least 20 bucks or more. Sewing, how to repair a button, how to hem a skirt. You're talking $1 to $30 plus to have that repaired. To pay somebody to do it. Why not do it yourself? Sewing, change a tire. So what about changing a tire? That membership I talked about. Oh my gosh, why would you want to pay that membership? You could save that money and do it yourself. Balance a checkbook. Why pay overdraft fees if you're not balancing your checkbook correctly? You can have those mistakes and errors. Something we should teach our children so that doesn't happen. Next slide. So it is time to start teaching our children to be healthy, to learn their finances, and to live happy and healthy lives. Thank you.
Can we just leave that recording for everybody?
Okay.
But there's two on here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Over there early. I was sitting in the classroom. I was like, there's nobody here. And then I got up and I was like, maybe I should get that note. And I was like, oh.
You were sitting in there too. And you know,
I know.
They're all fine. So, you start that. All right. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Smith Trustee, and I'm going to talk to you about stress in college. And we all know that college is stressful, as we're in college right now, obviously. And it's well known that it's hard to balance going to class and maintaining the grades and numbers and all of the other things going on in your life. And stress is something that is major in a lot of people's lives. And unfortunately, it really does affect you mentally and physically. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword because it affects you now and then it will affect you in the future. And according to counseling and wellness centers, the physical like symptoms of stress is muscle tension, headache, high blood pressure, fatigue, difficulty sleeping, and backache, which obviously, when you don't feel good, you're not gonna go to class and do the best that you can do. And then mentally, stress really does affect how you perform. It affects, you can get depression, anger, anxiety, feelings, and difficulty concentrating. So not only are you feeling bad, but now you're not mentally understanding what's going on in your day-to-day life. And unfortunately, stress leads to a lot of mental illness. And statistics of stress in college is really astounding, but when you think about it, it's not really that shocking. And according to Healthline.com, 1 in every 4 college students report symptoms of mental illness due to stress. And 45% of those who report it report signs of depression. And then what's really worrisome is that 75% of people who experience mental illness don't go and get help. So now they're not attempting to alleviate the problems in their life. And because of stress, you can get heart disease, you can get a stroke because your body is working in overtime just to compensate. And then you get allergies, which a lot of people have. Insomnia because your brain is not shutting down. And then 1 in every 5 college students feel stressed enough not to do homework or go with friends. So now you're isolating yourself from the outside world and you're not doing your work, so you're falling further behind, which causes more stress. And then 1 in every 5 of college students have considered dropping out because it's too stressful. And there's no reason why they should put a halt on their education because it's too much for them to mentally handle. And then 52% of freshmen say that their health is above average, which is really, you're 18 to 24 is the average college student age. There's no reason why you shouldn't feel that your emotional health is good. No, there you go. Because of this, colleges have created programs to compensate for the stress and mental that starts to occur during the school year. And Kirkwood has created, they have hired counselors to their staff that are free to students to use and are able to help alleviate and find plans to figure out plans to stop from actually shutting down physically. And then in computer applications, there's a lot of really good human services courses around here. And the Abbey Center and the Cedar Center Psychiatric Group are really good. And I know if you're the psychiatric and you're like, nope, can't do that, I don't need that. Well, they're a really good source of support. Because a lot of times when you're stressed out, you are floundering and you need someone just to tell you that it's okay and you're fine. And then we need to be aware. There's no reason why depression and suicide are so prevalent in today's society. Because suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States. And then in college students, it's the 3rd leading cause of death. And there's no reason why people so young and so motivated to change their lives are resorting to something something so tragic. And then there's no reason why depression is overpacked, you know. There should be no reason why it's happening. And then to be aware, you need to learn ways to identify the signs of depression and stress, you know, and find ways to fix that, you know, in your life. And there's no reason why stress is what's causing us and preventing us from having the future that we want. Okay, thanks.
I didn't turn the audio.
So you just do another video again.
Well, he knows that there's audience here.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah. He was here. It was like 6:00 something. So yeah, it was like really close. Like, okay. And when I get in front of people, I start talking a lot faster than what I do normally. I don't even know if my video will work. If it doesn't, just explain to me.
Why do you need to do that on the course content? I think that this is.
Hi guys, my name is Erin Clayton, and I'm here to talk to you today about helmet safety on motorcycles. I don't know how many of you have ever rode on a motorcycle, but I know most people like the enjoyment of a motorcycle for the breeze blowing through their hair, but I feel as if by the end of this, you'll have a better idea of why helmet safety is so important.
Going on, guys? X-Emily X, and my dad just dropped off all the stuff I was wearing during the accident because it was at his house. And here you go. We got my helmet. This would have been my top of my head, my forehead, all bashed in, pretty thick gashes. That would have been my forehead. That's all scratched out. The chin, that would have been my chin bashed in and all scratched up. Here's the biggest thing that probably would have killed me, because I remember this too. When I fell over, I remember hitting the back of my head. I don't know if you can see, like that's all dented in. And I remember hitting right there, so that's all dented in. That would have been my skull. So, yeah, you guys are thinking about riding motorcycles, get a helmet, because simple little thing of gravel, and yeah, could have been a goner. Okay, and then here's the.
Okay, and these are just a couple more pictures I put up of some helmets, after crash. Like, obviously, this one, that would have been like his whole time fall. That would have been scratched or smashed in, and that really put in his whole face, like his eyes and everything. And then this is kind of a state-by-state map of who has laws on helmet safety. Iowa and Illinois in the gray are the only two states in America that do not have any helmet laws. 19 states, including Washington, D.C., have all riders helmet laws, so anyone riding a motorcycle will have a helmet on in those states. And then the 29 other states only have age limit requirements. There's usually 18 or 21 are the ages where, after that you don't have to wear a helmet. But if you think about it, how do they know how old you are when you're on a motorcycle? So it should be for all ages and all states. And then why helmets? These are just a few numbers of deaths. And then obviously people on motorcycles are just more vulnerable and at risk when they're on the road because they're less protected. 4,668 people died in 2013 in motorcycle crashes, which was more than doubled from 1997. So obviously you can see how it's changed over the years. And another 88,000 were injured in 2013. So, and then $66 billion in societal harm was done by motorcycle crashes. Oh, no, it didn't. And so, if we're talking about saving lives and how much helmets have saved lives, it was estimated that around 1,600 lives were saved in 2013 by those helmets. And then another 715 lives per state could have been saved if they had the all riders helmet laws. And obviously it would just decrease deaths in motorcycle crashes.
Yeah. Well, when we started doing it,
Okay, well,
you got that.
okay. So, just a decrease in deaths overall for motorcyclists, and it also saves on taxpayer dollars because of that societal harm that motorcycle crashes have had. And then these are the different types of helmets. The full face one is obviously your most reliable and safest because it protects every part of the chin, the face, and it also has a shield that helps with ventilation and stuff like that. The modular flip up is pretty similar to the full face because it protects the chin as well, which I feel like a lot of them should have is the chin. And the 3/4 helmet, it protects. They call it the 3/4 because it protects the head, the cheeks, and the ears, but no chin. And then the half helmet, the website I believe I was on, it's called Motorcycle Man, said that half helmet is very likely to fly off when it's hit on impact. So it's not a very reliable helmet, but then again, it could also be better than nothing to prevent some sort of injury. And the off-road and motocross, obviously that's used for dirt bikes and road wheeling and stuff like that. And the only thing really different about that is it has a further out chain, is when you're going up a hill on a dirt bike or something, you come back down, you're more likely to face plant. And then the novelty, these are not certified or anything, so they do not recommend those. Most people that get those, it's just kind of like a collector thing. It's not really anything that. And then when you're looking at helmets, you're looking at safety. They have to be certified by either the DOT or what's called the SNP from the Snell Memorial Foundation. They have to be certified by those. So when you're looking, they'll say certified by one of those. Just consider it trash. Comfort and fit. Don't want it to be too big, obviously. So, but you don't want it to be too tight. But they say to start just a little tight because it will like loosen up over time. The cost, you're paying for safety, but some helmets range from starting at $50 to over $1,000. You're also looking at brands there, which ones, are going to cost more. Like I said, the certified and tested. And then style and design, mostly to do with preference. And then since I showed you all the different helmets, there is a helmet for everyone. Just you have to try them on, see which one you like best. And I also, when I was discussing this with someone who has a lot of motorcyclist friends, she said that she would not recommend helmets because of peripheral vision, but if they're certified and tested, they've probably already, built in those factors of the peripheral vision, the damages, and then seatbelts are required by law in a car, where there's glass vulnerable, so a helmet should be required for motorcyclists. That's all I got.
I know that for sure it was.
I deleted a bunch of pictures too, thinking that maybe
You got full for like that's like what I did.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it still is recording. Something a little more on the left.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can watch the whole half hour or whatever it is.
And what's happening?
If you can hear it, I put audio.
Okay, my name is Heather McKenna, and I'm going to talk to you guys about race culture, locker room talk in America, and what it leads to on the real. Donald Trump in a review was recently surfaced where he said, "I'm automatically drawn to beautiful women. I just start kissing. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. When you're a star, they let you do anything. You can grab them by the foot. You can do what you want. Sexual assault has a wide range of victimizations, separate from rape or attempted rape. These crimes include attacks or attempted attacks, generally involving unwanted sexual contact between the victim and the offender. Sexual assaults may or may not involve force, including things like grabbing and vomiting. When Brock Turner raped an intoxicated woman behind a dumpster at a college party, his father wrote a letter to the judge requesting leniency for Brock because it would ruin his life for 20 minutes of action. He never took into account that his so-called 20 minutes of action was in fact a rape of an unconscious woman that will live with this forever. Unfortunately, the judge in the case bought into the boys' club mentality and gave him a slap on the wrist for the crime. Brock was sentenced to 6 months in jail, 3 years of probation. Many rapes and sexual assaults go unreported each year for fear that some type of retaliation may be made. For fear of being victimized again because it is in fact your word against theirs. Rape is forced sexual intercourse. That means penetration. This includes attempted rapes, which include verbal threats of rape. In 2002, there were 87,000 rapes, 70,000 attempted rapes, and 91,000 victims of sexual assault. Those are all the ones that we reported. 90% of the reports were from women. 1 in 6 women has been the victim of a sexual assault or rape that occurred after the age of 12. I was 12 years old the first time I was sexually assaulted. It was a beautiful summer day, and I was out exploring the neighborhood. We lived in a rural area, so me being alone, wandering was no big deal, and typically there wouldn't have been an issue. I was still very much a little girl that had begun to develop over the summer. I was very uncomfortable with my new body and tried to hide my development by baggy clothes, as many young girls do. I remember it like it was yesterday. I can even tell you that I had on a red softball shorts, t-shirt, long jean shorts, and clean shoes. This was 25 years ago. I was at the end of the house inspecting an insect when one of the neighborhood boys appeared. He was a year older than me, but we had grown up together, and I was one of the tomboys and we played sports with each other and climbed trees. He was my friend. I had never been intimidated by him before, but that day there was something different about the way he was acting. I was uncomfortable, but I brushed it off because he was my friend. After a few minutes of talking, he pushed me into the house and kissed me and asked me why I didn't like him while grabbing at me. I was sobbing and could not push him away. Thankfully, his brother emerged from the trail. When his brother saw what was happening, he came running and pulled his brother off of me. I remember him screaming for me to run, and I ran. I ran as fast as my legs would carry me through the woods and down the trail. Hot tears were streaking my face. I got home and my parents were at work, so no one ever knew what happened to me that day. I never told anyone because I was worried I had done something wrong. I was the reason why this happened to me. It was my first experience with this type of ordeal, and I was a kid. Unfortunately, this would not be my last experience of being objectified sexually. My next experience with sexual assault came whenever I was 17 years old. I was young and rebelling against everything in life. I had grown into my body and was much more comfortable with it, and I let my tomboy ways go. I went out with my friends that night. I told 2 girlfriends came to my house and picked me up. We told our parents that we were staying at each other's houses. As an adult, I see that this was very foolish of us to do, but we were young and it seemed like a good idea. We had found somebody to buy us booze, and we had a few bottles of Boone's Farm and Magdalene. After we picked up the alcohol, we went to one of the guys' houses that we knew. This young man's mother was out of town, so it was just the kids getting drunk. There was a total of 5 of us, 3 girls and 2 boys. The girls were supposed to stick together and stay the night at the house. Well, unfortunately, I drank too much and went back to the bedroom to go to sleep, while everybody else finished the party. I was woken up about 3 o'clock in the morning with my jeans being yanked down and what felt like nails scratching the inside of me. My face was wet and sticky with saliva from being kissed in my passed out stage. It took a minute for me to process what was going on. But when I did, I was unable to get away from the guy. I was able to get away from the guy that was assaulting me. As soon as I thought he stopped because he computed it was wrong. When I gave no consent, he thought it was acceptable though. As I pulled up my pants, I realized that there was the other young man who was standing in the corner watching what was happening. He did not try to stop anything. Looked almost as if he was enjoying it. The girls I was with had left at some point, and my car was in their coat. It was winter in Iowa. The girls had planned on coming back in the morning to get me because we were all friends with the boys, and these were people that we trusted. I ended up walking about a mile to a payphone to call my mom flight. It took her 45 minutes to get to where I was. I stood outside of a closed gas station in the dark bawling. My mom finally arrived, and I told her what happened. She reacted in a way I would have never thought. She told me I shouldn't be drinking or lying to her and stuff like that wouldn't happen. It was devastating to me because I felt like she was blaming me and I shut down. As an adult, I understand what she meant, but as a young woman, I did not. It would not be my last run-in with someone I trusted doing hideous things. My next experience was more than just an assault. I was 19, and I had stumbled onto a new group of friends. Over the last year, they were fun and they partied. I met my boyfriend through them, and we had become great friends. It was New Year's 1999. Everyone that could get into the bar went out, including me, but excluding my boyfriend. That night, whenever I went out, I was not dressed provocatively. I did not overly drink, as I was the designated driver. We stopped at the store on our way home and grabbed beer, because we were planning on having a house party. Unfortunately, the girl who owned the house was not up for a party that night. So one of the guys came up with the idea that he was going to get a hotel room. So we all went back to the hotel. This party started off with about 15 of us and trickled down to 10 by the next day. The hotel room had 2 bedrooms and a full living room, so there was plenty of room for everyone. In the early hours of the morning, my boyfriend and I went to sleep, followed by almost everyone else. I got up to go to the bathroom. I don't remember looking at the clock before I went. Everything was fine. I took care of my business and was about to walk out of the bathroom whenever my boyfriend's cousin blocked me in the bathroom. I was unsure of what to do, as he was a joker and he never took me too seriously. I should have taken him seriously, because in seconds he had me knocked back and closed the door and turned on the industrial fan so nobody could hear me. When I tried to get out, he hit me. It knocked me to the ground, and as soon as I was down, he was on top of me. He was 200 pounds of pure muscle, and there was nothing I could do. I could not get away. I remember thinking if I fight or scream, he is going to beat me to death. So I went limp. I went limp as he pulled off my sleds. I went limp as he penetrated me over and over again. I went limp as he asked me why I didn't like him and why I made him do something. It felt like it took forever for him to finish. When he got up for me, I stayed on the floor crying in the fetal position. He came to console me, and I hit him. I hit him over and over again, while tears streamed down my face. This was my boyfriend's cousin. I couldn't tell him that was his family. He just raised me. Why would he believe me? What would his cousin say to him? This man had just violated me, and he was a part of our friends. Who would they believe, me over him? So I wiped my tears and went back to bed with my boyfriend harboring this horrible secret. The next month, I missed my period and took positive pregnancy test. I knew who the father was. Everyone was so excited I was pregnant. Even my boyfriend, who naively believed that he was the father. But I knew I could not handle it. My parents were already unhappy about the pregnancy, but had no clue about the rape. It took me over 10 years to tell them. My parents wanted me to go get an abortion and move to Fort Lauderdale. I went along with that. Everyone was so mad at me for doing what was best for me. They abandoned me, not knowing the truly hideous thing that had just happened to me. And they left me because I had had an abortion. It was 7 years after the rape that I had moved back to Iowa from Florida, and I ran into the man who raped me. I was in a nightclub in downtown Iowa City for a coworker's birthday when I felt a hand around my wrist. Needless to say, whenever I turned around and saw who was standing in front of me, I felt sick. He then leaned in and thanked me because I never reported the rape. He thanked me for not ruining his life, told me all about his family and his kids, and told me if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have any of that. I kept thinking, how dare you thank me for allowing you to rape me without consequence? Honestly, 18 years later, it still affects me in my relationships. I was the one that suffered, and the one whose life suffered while he flourished. He also felt the need to let me know that he never raped another girl. How do you even respond to that? Should I be glad that I was the only girl that you chose to rape, but you turned yourself around after that? Unfortunately, he wasn't the last person who victimized me. I was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it was a normal night. I'd been hanging out with my apartment whenever I got a surprise visit from a couple of my friends. We spent the night laughing and hanging out. I had no idea that my ex-boyfriend was outside watching the house and stalking me in bushes the entire time. Now, both of the men that were over visiting me were both very protective men, so if they would have known that, they would have never left. They would have never left me in a room of safe. When they left, quickly afterwards, I heard them knock at the door and I answered it. When I saw who it was, I was not concerned for myself, as this relationship had just faded. I did find the timing odd and wondered how he found my new place though, because he had not attempted to contact me in over 4 months. He pushed his way into my house, and I allowed him in because I thought he just needed to talk. When we walked into the living room, he demanded to know who had just left. I told him who they were and explained their relationship to calm him down. I knew he suffered from PTSD from being in Afghanistan and did not want him to snap for my own safety. I thought I had cooled him down, but I had not. He made himself at home, and I could tell he'd been drinking that night, but I did not want to push him out the door. It was uncomfortable as this man had vanished from my life months earlier, and is now sitting in my living room acting like he's my boyfriend. A few hours passed, and he brought up my friends again and started making accusations. I had been untruthful about making accusations that I had been untruthful about my relationship with guys. We argued some more, and I could not get him to leave. So I went to bed. In hindsight, I should have caught the police and had him removed from my house. But I didn't want to get him in trouble because he was drunk and just being a moron. It was about 20 minutes after I went to bed, and he decided to join me without permission. He began to snuggle up close and kiss him. I told him several times and asked him to stop, but he refused to do so. I ended up going limp. I was limp as he ripped off my pajamas from my body. As he tore off my pink top, I was limp. I was limp as he pushed his tongue inside my mouth. I was limp as I smelled the sickening sweet whiskey breath heavy on my mouth. I laid there limp and waited for him to finish. I went to a different place mentally. It was like I was outside of my body watching what was happening. And it was happening for the second time. I was not stupid though. I was not stupid enough to get punched this time though. No one would have heard me if I would have screamed because of the location of my house. And he could have killed me if he wanted to. When he finished, he got dressed and left. I remember rushing to the door naked as he left. Locked the door so he could not come back in. I immediately got up in the shower and tried to scrub him off of me. I sat in the shower for what felt like an eternity. Again, I blamed myself and took no action for justice. I drowned myself in alcohol to forget. A month later, I missed my period and took a positive pregnancy test. 5% of women get pregnant from rape each year. I was shooting 2-3 people. I told my parents about the pregnancy and they helped me get an abortion. Again, I chose not to tell them the entire story until years later. After the abortion, I took a nosedive. I began to drink heavily on a daily basis, and my casual relationship with cocaine developed into a full-blown love affair. I decided I was worthless and nothing more than a sexual plaything for men to use as they pleased, and there was nothing I could do about it. It took me 7 years, the death of my father, and a reconnection with a childhood friend to end my path of self-destruction. I'm a woman, I'm a statistic, I'm a survivor of rape culture in America. I have been the butt of locker room talk as a bartender because the talk does not stay in the locker room. I've been told I'm only worth $1 if I'm taking off my shirt, and then reprimanded for no longer serving the gentleman who said that to me. I have been randomly offered contracts to join the adult entertainment community. I've quite literally had my pussy grabbed by a complete stranger on a dance floor. I've received unsolicited pictures of Mel Genitalia when there wasn't even a flirtation going on. I've been scolded for not putting me out on a first date because he paid for dinner. I've been kicked out of a car a mile away from my house because I stupidly advised my blind date who was not getting laid that night. You need to stop this from being acceptable behavior because If all of this happened to me without me saying anything, can you imagine how many other women share my story? We need to teach our sons that locker room talk is not acceptable because it breeds ignorance. And that is taking, and breeds ignorance that taking it further is okay. I have a daughter and I do not want her to be like me. I am a woman, but I don't want her to be a statistic. And I don't want her to be a survivor of rape culture.
I don't know, should I ask our college professor and be like, hey, I would have been to the show.
Should I go down the hallway?
Do you take a peek before we shut it down?
Yeah. Check with the. Did you know that there was nothing?
Yeah.
And I when you said a few years ago, like 8:30, I was like, 8:30.
We're showing on time, and then, woo, we're gonna get done. No? Nobody?
Well, it's like 47 minutes after it was done.